Good morning, students. Hearty welcome to the language class. As usual, I am back with packing up the same lesson what we had discussed in the previous class. That's a wonderful, humorous short story, Oru Manushyan, a very humorous short story contributed by Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. So, as we have already looked into in the very previous class, Oru Manushan, it's a wonderful story about a strange man. It's a story about a man. It's a story about one man who came to rescue at the very, very alien place when the narrator was caught whole. So, as we have already looked into, it's a wonderful short story that makes an attempt to emphasize on speaking about or bequeathing a wonderful message for life. It emphasizes on human values that's very much needed for life. As we have already looked into, so today at the beginning, I'll be discussing about please mark down certain important points that you can expect for 1 mark questions, as well as a very important paragraph that could be seen for the 4 marks as well as 6 marks questions too. So mark down certain important points which will be quite helpful later. As we have already seen, it's a story something that emphasizes about helping the needy at the time when others are in need of a help. So this is an ultimate moral of life. It's an ultimate ideal of life. Whosoever who expects a helping hand from your end, always be ready to fetch your helping hand that gives the ultimate satisfaction for your lifetime. So that's the message where the author, the short storyteller, Vaikam Muhammad Bashir, makes an attempt to reflect here in a wonderful lesson, a beautiful, humorous short story that is Oru Manushyan. So let's have a look into from the beginning. We'll just brush up certain important things. As I've already spoke about it, it's a wonderful blend of narrative and descriptive technique that has been taken up here. As I've already spoke about it in the previous class, in the initial first class, it's usually a thing many a times when we are caught hold in a very embarrassing situation. So when someone all of a sudden comes and helps us or rescues us from the difficult situation or a dangerous situation, so what could be the feel and emotions that each and everyone will go through has been well taken up, well described here within a wonderful short story, Oru Manushyan. As I have already spoke about it, at the beginning, the narrator creates a beautiful stage, and later he just steps into the story within. And the technique that has been taken up here is story within story is a wonderful technique that has been very much taken up here within a lesson, Oru Manushyan by Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. As I've also spoke about it, Vaikam Muhammad Bashir, as of alive, R.K. Narayan, it might be Raja Rao. So, as in such, he is also the one among them. He is also the one who has been recognized as one of the best short story tellers. Even though his stories are loaded with lots of humor, but still there will be a beautiful blend of some serious information or the morality that each and everyone should obviously imbibe in a day-to-day routine life that's well always taken up. In almost all the contributions what Vaikam Muhammad Bashir has taken up, he just deals with the fact. He just makes an attempt to deal with the issues that we have been very much used in our day-to-day life. That's a very eye-catching point that always attracts the readers or the spectators, whosoever who looks at the wonderful stories of Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. So, as we have already seen, so this is a wonderful introduction. Many a times it so happens we'll not be having any definite plans. We keep wandering around far away from home. Imagine we don't have money, we don't know any local language, right? We can only speak either English or a national language, Hindustani, that's Hindi. But very few people will be obviously get to know the language. So at this situation, at this very, very dangerous situations, this can land us with many predicaments, right? We'll be obviously fed with many embarrassing situations. That sounds so dangerous. We'll be in lots of dilemma to handle such situation. Many adventures can also befall us. So keeping that as a wonderful standpoint, he beautifully narrates a wonderful story, which could also be considered as his own life experiences. He takes up as a life experience and he himself involves within a wonderful story Oru Manushan, and he makes an attempt to describe. As I said, narrative technique is first person narration where the author, the short story himself, short storyteller himself involves within a story and elaborates. Descriptive is third person narration where it will be described by the other person. Adre, in this context, Vaikom Muhammad Bashir has beautifully made use of these two techniques with a good blend. You can enjoy the technique that has been literary technique that has been used here, a wonderful blend of narrative and descriptive technique has been well taken up here within a wonderful short story, Oru Manushyan. So coming on to, he further says that many a times you find yourself caught in a very such dangerous, embarrassing situation. A total stranger, all of a sudden, if he comes and rescues you, how could we feel? Even after many of the years, we keep remembering the person without knowing who the person is, without having any idea about him. We keep wondering, why did that man all of a sudden that day he came and rescued us? Wow, hats off to him. We just bow in front of the person who has helped us in such embarrassing or dangerous situations. So that's a very human tendency here. Vaikam Muhammad Bashir is making an attempt to beautifully emphasize on a life value. What's that life value? Each and everyone is loaded with some potential gesture, divine gesture, divine behavior. Only thing is, whenever we get an opportunity, we reflect what we have, what good things we have. Even though the whole world is loaded with lots of evil and very less amount of good things, but still, always good things at last finds victory and Odu. That's a wonderful message he wants to emphasize. Even though many a times it so happens, the so-called cruel people will also be loaded with some sort of genuine good behaviors or gestures, Anudu. That's a message where he wants to emphasize on. Whenever it comes an opportunity, they reflect, even the cruel people, they make an attempt to reflect the good things within what they have been imbibed. That's a wonderful message that the author, the short storyteller, Vaikam Muhammad Bashir, makes an attempt to beautifully contemplate or reflect here within a very context of the story. That's a lesson, Oru Manushyan. So, as we have seen, after giving a beautiful creating an introduction, he just shifts on to a story. So he says that let us say it is not I, let us say it is I and not you. Let me take an example of myself. I myself imagine in a very embarrassing, dangerous situation. It's not you who remembers the man. He says that I'm now narrating the experience which I had in my life. I have some very vague notions about human beings. We people keep on moving around lot many people where many of them are good, many of them are thieves, many of them are suffering from various infectious diseases, and many of them sound to be mad. Unknowingly, we keep obviously interacting with all these people. But still, unless and until we get hurt, unless and until we get suffered with such situations, will not get to know what exactly the real face, the original face of people. So each and every human being is always loaded with couple of spaces or multifaceted faces. Is it not so? Oh, I was not knowing she was so mean. She behaved so mean. We keep on expressing all these things. I was not knowing that she was too good. I was not knowing that she's so good enough. I did not expect. I thought she is so cruel. She came for my help. See, all positives, all negative statements, we keep on using it in our day to day life. So, keeping that as a state of mind, Here, the author, the short storyteller, Vaikom Muhammad Bashir, is making an attempt to beautifully speaking about, he emphasizes about reading the mind of the people. When you interact with the people, when you get hurt, you'll get to know about their genuine character. When you interact with people, you'll get to know about their own original nature or mannerism or behavior. So, how? He just shares a wonderful experience within this. So, later he also says that he is emphasizing on a beautiful descriptive part now starts story within story technique has been well taken up here. He emphasizes and describes a wonderful big city. He's taking a reference of a very big city which is there in the valley of mountain. Do underline a big city in the valley of mountain, almost some 1500 miles away from his house. The inhabitants of which, the inhabitants is the people who were living in that valley of mountain, they were not known, they were not familiar with a quality, what we usually call it as mercy. ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮರ್ಸಿ ಅನ್ನೋದೇನು ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. They were so barbarous, they were so cruel by their attitude. They were very cruel people. What were the daily occurrences that the people of Valley of Mountain were taking up? They usually turned up with murder, robbery, pickpocketing. All these things were the very daily occurrences of the people who were living in Valley of Mountain, which was 1500 miles away from the house of the narrator. They were so cruel. Murder, robbery, pickpocketing, all these things were the daily occurrences. By tradition, the people were so professional soldiers. Some of them went to the distant places and lent out money on interest. Few people went on to the distant places and started lending out money, what all they had. Because traditionally, originally, all these guys whom we are referring as so cruel, who were so barbarous, who lived in the valley of mountain, earlier days, they were the professional soldiers in the army. Because of all some misdismissal behaviors, they were just thrown away from the army and later they came and got settled. They created their own place. They called it as Valley of the Mountains. They were residing in an area where it was loaded with mountains, and that famous place came to be known as Valley of Mountain. Even though they were in the earlier days professional soldiers, but now as they have come out of the army, so many of them they went to the distant places and lent out money on interest for the people. And many other people served as watchmen. That was a job which was taken by them. And few of them, or many of them, they served as watchmen in the banks, mills, and large commercial establishments in a very big cities. Money, what was highly valued in that valley of mountain? Money was highly valued by the people of Valley of Mountain because for money they would do anything and everything. They did not even hesitate to commit murder. They even commit murder. That was how the mindset of the people of Valley of Mountain had. You find yourself, imagine in that situation, what could be your things to go on? We have to go with. So this can land you many a times with lots of confusions. One day it so happens, later further develops his story, we have seen to it. Here he's emphasizing on that. This guy, the narrator, so-called narrator, was helping the migrant laborers to learn to write address in English. He says that in that very exactly valley of mountain, I stayed in that city in a very underlined, small, dingy, on a dirty street. He lived in a very small room. How was it? It was very dingy. It was so compact. It was so untidy. And how was the street? It was dirty street. Do underline. Remember all the three words. Where did the narrator stay? In a small, dingy, on a dirty street. He says that he carried on a profession. What was the profession that was taken up by the narrator? He carried on a profession there, teaching English to some of the migrant laborers. He was helping the people to learn language. He was helping, obviously, the migrant laborers to know, as they were not familiar with either of the languages, he was just helping them to learn language. He was helping them to write address in English so that that could be helpful to save money. So what was the job, that was profession that was taken by the narrator? He was teaching English for the migrant laborers. From what time to what time? From 9:30 till 11 in the night. It was almost a night schooling. He was taking up classes. He was helping all the migrant laborers to write address in English. Make sure it's mandatory. One mark question. I taught them. Here, I pronoun refers to first person. Who is the narrator of the story? None other than Vaikom Muhammad Bashir himself. You have to use the term the narrator. I refers to the narrator. Athava, I refers to the speaker. The narrator taught them to write address in English. Learning to write an address in English was considered great education there. So, if the people were able to at least write address in English, that itself was a wonderful education that they thought that they could go on with. That was ultimate part of education. So, to write an address in English was considered great education there. You must have seen people who write addresses at the post office. They were paid anything between 1 anna and 4 annas for writing an address. In the very ancient earlier days, we people had a currency what's called anna. Anna andre ಒಂದಾಣೆ ಎರಡಾಣೆ ಹತ್ತಾಣೆ ಹದಿನೈದಾಣೆ ಆಣೆಯನ್ನ currency they were calling it as anna. So just to write the address in English, they were just charging 1 anna and 4 annas just to write down address in English, where the migrant laborers could feel comfortable. I taught the skill of, he makes it so clear stating that this narrator, he taught the skill of writing addresses to the people in order to escape from the same fate himself and to see that he could save some money. ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ನನಗೂ ಒಂಚೂರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗತ್ತೆ, so that I can also fill my tummy. That could be my life savings too, he thought, and he started helping the migrant laborers to write address in English. In those days, Andre, he's narrating at the time when the things were very often went on smoothly. In those days, he says so clearly that I would sleep all day. Here we have a beautiful description of regular routine of the narrator. What was the routine that he followed? You have to mark it. You may expect 4 mark question here. What was the routine of the narrator? They may ask you. In those days, the narrator would sleep all day and wake up at 4 in the evening. So this was his usual routine. Pratidina, every day he was sleeping the whole morning and he was waking up at 4 p.m. And after once he wake up at the evening, he would have cooped with his daily core work and later went on to have a tea and one brunch. So for every day, for each day, he would have taken only one meal and one tea, which would have served his lifetime. He says that in those days, he would just sleep all day and wake up at 4 in the evening. The reason why, because this was to save the expense of drinking his morning tea and eating the noon meal. So one fine day it so happened, one day he got up at 4 p.m. as usual. He finished his daily course and stepped out of his tea and a meal. You should understand that he had emphasized and made it clear. He says that he was wearing a coat lapel. He says, in the last class I spoke about it. ಹೊಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಹಿಟ್ಟಿಲ್ದಿದ್ರು ಜುಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಮಲ್ಗೆ ಹೂವು. People always respect how you dress up yourself. People always give value to you by knowing how you have dressed in your outer world. So that matters a lot. He is emphasizing. ಅವನು ಇದ್ದಿದ್ ಒಂದೇ ಜೊತೆ ಬಟ್ಟೆ, ಇದ್ದದ್ ಒಂದೇ suit lapel, he had old it. Every day he was wearing the same coat lapel. He was going on to a restaurant. He was having his meal and the tea, and he was coming back, which was a usual routine of him. So one fine day, as usual, he got up at 4 p.m. He finished all his daily chores and stepped out for his tea and a meal, wearing a suit lapel. He says that I had kept my wallet in my coat pocket. And what was the life savings of the narrator? Just 14 rupees, 14 rupai, 40 rupees alla, 1 and 4. 14 rupees was his life savings. It's again mandatory 1 mark question that you can expect for your examinations. 14 rupees was his life savings of the time. He beautifully narrates what happened on that day. He entered a crowded restaurant. He was so hungry. He took up a meal. He ate full meal consisting of chapatis as well as of meat curry. And later, once he was able to finish his meal, he took a tea. He relished the tea. And at last, it was the time for him to go and pay the bill. What was the bill that had come? It was 11 annas. ಹನ್ನೊಂದಾಣೆ ಅವತ್ತಿನ ಬಿಲ್ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. Okay, fine. He went near the cashier. He just put his hands into the coat pocket. He started sweating profusely. He was unable to find the wallet that he had kept in his coat pocket. Coat pocket ಹರಿದೋಗಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, but still, even though he had kept his wallet in his coat pocket, he could not find at the moment. He searched a lot. So once he got to know that he had lost his wallet, he began sweating profusely. At that moment, almost felt that whatever that he had eaten got digested within a couple of minutes. The reason was that his wallet was not there. He was so sure that he had kept his wallet, but he could not find it now. We have to remember where he is exactly living. He is living among the people who are always done with murder, pickpocketing, and robbery. What could be the pros and cons? He started searching for the wallet. He could not find it. And later he came to the cashier and said, "My dear sir, someone has picked up my pocket and had taken away my wallet. Could you please help me? If you could give me a time, I'll just rush to my home and get some money and come back. Will you please permit me, sir?" The narrator requested the cashier, who lives as such, who believes the other one, even though they turn up with many reasons, because the valley of mountain was already loaded with the people who were so cruel, who were loaded with many of the pickpocketers, who were damn good in making robberies and all. And how does a cashier believes in such? People were always the same. So he could not believe the reason that was said, even though the narrator sounded to be genuine, even though the narrator sounded to be truthful, honest. He honestly said that if you could give me permission, I'll get back to my home, I'll collect some money and come back to you. But the cashier was not ready. He said, that was a busy restaurant. The owner, when he was able to hear this dialogue, he started giving a loud goofa. Goofa means a loud laughter, startling at everyone around. When this cashier started giving a very loud laughter, each and everyone, almost 50 to 60 members who were there in that crowded restaurant, they started turning towards the issue which was taking place. They started taking it as an entertainment. They enjoyed the situation which was taking place. He caught the very, very coat lapels of the narrator and cried, "This trick will not work here, my dear. ಈ ತರದ ಆಟ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಡ್ಬೇಡ. Put the money down and get out. Or else, or else, I'll gog you out, gog your eyes out. ಸರ್ರಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಬಾರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ, ಕಣ್ ಕಿತ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. Are you playing with me?" He shouted at the narrator as accordingly. And later, the narrator looked at the people who were around him. He could not even see one kind face. He did not feel anyone could be very, very generous enough to come for the help. According to the narrator, all these people who were crowded in the restaurant seemed to be like hungry wolves. ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಸ್ದಿರೋ ನರಿಗಳ ತರ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದ್ರಂತೆ. ಕಣ್ಣು ಮೂಗು ಮೂತೆ ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಂಡು they were just staring at the situation. No one came for the help. If he said he could gog my eyes out, narrator says, he would have surely done, because that cashier had a very well built personality. ದಾಂಡಿಗನ್ ತರ ಇದ್ದ. ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕಣ್ಣು ಕಿತ್ತಾಕ್ತಾನೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಹಾಗೆ the narrator felt, because the narrator was very pale to look at, because he was just having only one meal and tea per day. Can you well imagine what could be his physical condition. He says that if he says that he could gog my eyes out, he would have taken my eyes out for sure. And later he said, the narrator said, "Oh, my dear sir, let my coat be here. Nimug doubt alla, nan coat itkondiri. I'll just go and bring some money." The narrator, the restaurant keeper again laughed at this dialogue. "Okay, fine. Keep your coat and go," he said. He asked me to take off my coat, and the narrator removed his coat and kept it on the uh, 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 table. And later he was asked to take off the shirt. He took up the shirt and kept it on the table. He asked to take off both my shoes. ಎರಡು ಶೂನು ಬಿಚ್ಚಿಡು ಅಂದ. He removed his shoes and kept it on the table. The things went on and on. It got continued. And finally, he asked me to take off my trousers. ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೌಸರ್ನು ಬಿಚ್ಚಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಂದ. How could he be? Now the narrator started getting very shy. He thought that he's going to be made naked, a stark naked, and what could be my condition? He started imagining. He asked me to take off both my shoes. I took my shoes, and finally, the cashier asked me to take off my trousers. So the idea seemed to strip me, gouged out my house, and send me out naked. ಕಣ್ಣು ಕಿತ್ತಾಕಿ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ನನ್ನನ್ನು naked ಮಾಡಿ he'll just send me out, thought the narrator. Slowly, with a very mild voice, the narrator said, "Sir, I'm so sorry. I have nothing on underneath. Could you please understand my situation?" He requested. When he started saying that I don't have anything on my underneath, everyone around there started laughing at the dialogue that was said by him. Even the restaurant keeper said, "No, no, 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 no. I doubt it. You must have something on the underneath." The cashier was not ready to believe the narrator. This situation is called as embarrassing situation. This situation can be obviously well understood as a dangerous situation where you feel like, everything is gone. There's no one to come and rescue me. Not even many a times at such dangerous situations, we feel that God does not exist. ಅಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಸಲ ಭಗವಂತ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನಿಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟ ಪಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತ. We turn up with certain usages. He felt the same thing. About 50 people who were residing there, all of them, they started shouting, "Aha, there must be something on underneath. There must be something on underneath." They started pulling the legs of the narrator. They started laughing at his very, very condition. "My hands refused to move," says the narrator. He could not move his hand. He started tightly holding up his trousers. He was not ready to remove it. He started imagining everything in his imagination, where a man standing in the crowd, stark naked, without his eyes. What could be his future? What could happen within a couple of minutes? He started imagining everything. The whole life seems to be like he felt like everything was coming to an end. Yes, what happens then? We'll see to it. Hope we have stopped here. We'll continue with. My hands refused to move. My hands refused to move, and I saw in my imagination a man, a man standing in the crowd, stark naked, without eyes. What could be the condition? He started imagining everything, the things that could happen over there. But within that moment, at the time he thought that the whole world was going to end like that. Okay, fine, 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 let it end. And for all this, and all for all this, I never mind. Oh, creator of God, creator of the world, my God, I had nothing to say. Everything would end. Yes, everything would end to the satisfaction of all. Now, the narrator lost hopes about God. I started undoing one by one buttons of my trousers. He says, I began to undo one by one of the buttons of my trousers. Then slowly, I heard all of a sudden a voice. ಯಾರೂ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. Everyone was taking pleasure looking at this very entertaining situation. All of a sudden, some voice stopped. Hey, stop! I shall pay the money. Hey, stop it. Don't continue to unbutton your trouser. I shall pay the money. ನಾನು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ ನಿಲ್ಸು. Do not open your trouser. Do not unbutton your trousers. Some very, very strange voice all of a sudden peeped in. When all of a sudden they were able to hear such a helping voice, everyone turned in the direction of the voice. Yaridu, who is coming for the help? Who has come to rescue this guy? Everyone started turning towards the voice. There, there stood a fair complexioned man. He was a stranger, Urumanushyan. There stood a fair complexioned man. How was he to look at? 6 foot tall with red turban and white trousers. He was wearing white trousers, he was wearing a red turban on his head, and he was very tall. What was his height? 6 foot tall. He sported a handlebar mustache and had blue eyes. Handlebar mustache, having a very big, lengthy mustache. You can well imagine Veerappan over there, which was almost seeming to be like handlebar. He had a blue eyes like Aishwarya. Wow, he was pretty young and handsome. Blue eyes were quite common. ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯಪಡಕ್ಕೇನು ಇಲ್ಲ. See how beautifully the narrator is emphasizing on blue eyes. Wow, like Aishwarya ಅಂತ ಬಾಯ್ಬಿಡೋ ಅಷ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. Because blue eyes were quite common at this place. Which place? In the valley of mountain. All people had the same blue eyes. He came forward and asked the restaurant keeper. He just came to the cashier and asked, "Hey, stop, stop." He came and started asking the restaurant keeper, how much did you say it was? ಎಷ್ಟು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು? What's the money that he has to pay? The cashier said, 11 annas. ಹನ್ನೊಂದಾಣೆ. Fine. He just took up a money. He paid the amount. He turned to me. Me andre ಇಲ್ಲಿ narrator. He turned towards the narrator and said, hey, put on your clothes. ಹಾಕೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಟ್ಟೆನು. ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗಿದೆ. Wear your clothes. I put them on. ಅಬ್ಬಾ ಜೀವವೇ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು ಯಾರಿಗೆ? Narrator. The narrator just turned up with giving a sign. He started wearing the clothes one after the other, what all the things that he had kept on the restaurant keeper's table. I put them on. And later he said, come, he called me. The stranger started calling the narrator. And I went with him. He went on with the stranger. Did I have words to express my gratitude at that moment? He was completely speechless. Oh, thank you so much. You came and helped me at this situation. ಅನ್ನೋಷ್ಟು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಆಕೆ. He was feeling so embarrassed. ಮಾನ ಮರ್ಯಾದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಗಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ. He could not even obviously convey his gratitude. Did I have words to express my gratitude? Ah, I told him, you have done a great deed. I have not seen a finer man like you. He just said, Hilda, you have done a great deed, sir. You have done a good job, sir. I have not seen such a finer man. ಈ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗಿಂದ ನಿನ್ನಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯೋರ್ನ ನಾನು ನೋಡ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. All these people were not familiar with the thought what we call mercy. They're not familiar with a word what we call mercy. But how come you're so special? I cannot even express my gratitude to you, sir. You have done a very good deed. I have not seen a finer man like you in this valley of mountain. Once he reciprocated, the strange man, the one who was wearing the red turban, the one who was wearing white trousers, he did not respond anything. Instead, he just laughed at it. Ha! He just reciprocated by giving a good smile over his face. Later, the narrator asked, my dear sir, could you please tell me what's your name? He asked. In nim hesro? He asked. I told him my name was. Sorry, the stranger asked. Nakbit kelda. Yenu nin hesro? He asked. Narrator started saying, I told him my name and where I exactly came from. He started giving all the information, stating that my name is so and have come from so and so place, sir. He repeated. Again, this guy asked, narrator asked, I asked the man his name. Narrator ಕೇಳ್ದ, ನಿಮ್ ಹೆಸರೇನು? What's your name? He said, the stranger ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಏನಂತ? He said, I have no name. ನನಗೆ ಹೆಸರೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. Narrator was so shocked. What did you say? You don't have name. Aha, I said, in that case, I'll keep your name as Mercy. In that case, Mercy must be your name. ನಿನ್ ಹೆಸರು Mercy ಇರಬೇಕು. So in this very alien world, you all of a sudden came and you rescued me, Allah. Okay, Mercy may be your name, said the narrator. He did not laugh at that dialogue when he said that your name might be Mercy. ನಿಮ್ ಹೆಸರು Mercy ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನರೇಟರ್ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಕ್ಕಿದ್ದ. ಈಗ he did not even turn up with giving a smile. He did not laugh at that. He walked on until we reached a deserted bridge. What do you mean by a term deserted bridge? Deserted is a place where usually it is isolated. He moved away, far away from the people. Jana yaru irlilla. He just moved until then. And this narrator, he just followed him until the deserted bridge. Deserted bridges, far away bridge where it was isolated. He walked on until we reached a deserted bridge. Once he reached the bridge, he looked all around. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸುತ್ತ ಕಣ್ಣಾಯಿಸಿ ನೋಡ್ದ. There was no one. ಯಾರೂ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. He all of a sudden said, "Look, man, you must go away without turning round. If anyone asks you whether you have seen me, you must say, no." Who this guy is? ಯಾರು ಬಂದ್ರು ನನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ what should be your response? He's training up the narrator. The narrator should say no ante. ಯಾರು ಬಂದು ನನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ರ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ you should always say no, I'm not seeing. That should be your reply. I understood. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು. He took out from his various pockets about 5 wallets. ಜೇಬ್ ಕೈ ಹಾಕಿ ತೆಗ್ದ. Is he a god? Wow. Might be, might not be. So later, he took out from his various pockets about 5 wallets. ಜೋಬು ಕೈ ಹಾಕ್ದ, ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ವಾಲೆಟ್ಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತೆಗ್ದ. It was almost 5 to 6 wallets. 5 among them was mine. Yes, you might have guessed properly. Who is he? Yes, he might be like a god, might not be a god. 5-6 ವಾಲೆಟ್ ತೆಗ್ದ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ನಿಂದು? Take it. ಅಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಿದ್ದ 5 ವಾಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ the one wallet was his own. His own ಅಂದ್ರೆ it was one of the narrators. He took out from his various pockets about 5 wallets and 5 among them was mine. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು narrator ದಾಗಿತ್ತು. He started asking, "Oh man, which of these is yours?" ಈ 5ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂದ್ಯಾವುದು ಪಾಕೆಟ್? ನಿಂದ್ಯಾವುದು ವಾಲೆಟ್? Take your wallet. He was so serious. He started pointing out his wallet and said, "Sir, this wallet is mine. This is my wallet. Ide nandu wallet." "Open it," he said. He just started opening his wallet, checked it. I opened it. My money was there intact. ಅವನು 14 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಏನ್ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದ ಅಷ್ಟು ದುಡ್ಡು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇತ್ತು. It was there. It was intact there itself. I put it in my pocket. Once he received his wallet, he started keeping it into his pocket. He later told me, "Go, may God help you." ಆಯ್ತಾಯ್ತು ನಡಿ, ನಿಂದು ವಾಲೆಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ತಲ್ಲ, get out, may God help you, said that stranger. I repeated, "May God help you." Is he the God? Or is he the thief? Or is he a pickpocketer? Who is he? Even though he was a pickpocketer, he came like a god and rescued the narrator. See, this ending is what we call as abrupt ending. In English literature, there was a guy, there was a very celebrated poet who was called John Donne. John Donne, you all might have heard about him, a very celebrated poet. Wonderful poems have been contributed. So he was so very famous in making use of a literary technique, what we call abruptness. This is an abrupt ending. All of a sudden, may God bless you, may God bless you. ಅಷ್ಟಕ್ಕತ್ತೆ ನಿಂತೋಯ್ತು. So other way around, it's all left to the reader's mind to imagine. You can also will imagine that person might be a god, or he might be a pickpocketer, but still who came like a god and rescued him. So you can, well, it's all left to the reader's imagination. This technique is what we call abruptness. So all of a sudden the story ends. You can well imagine what all that comes to your mind. You can also consider him as a god or godlike man, or you can also consider him, even though he was a pickpocketer or a robber, but still he had that good genuine nature where each and every human being is indulged with such very genuine gesture. So that's an all of a sudden end of a story, Oru Manushyan. Ultimately, the narrator wants to say that even though we'll be moving around the people who seem so cruel and barbarous, but still there'll be some sort of good, genuine gesture within every human being. The only thing is we should learn to recognize it. I keep on taking this example. There's a wonderful serial series within Sony Set Max, which is titled as Jeta Lal Ka Ulta Chashma. It all depends on the perception how we look at things. We have own spectacles which has become ulta, and we keep on looking at the faults of the people. We are damn good in identifying the faults of the people. We are very rare. It's very rare, genuine nature to identify goodness of people. So we should always make an attempt to look at good, even though the people sounds to be cruel, even though the people sounds to be very very barbarous by their gesture, but still each and every human being is indulged with some sort of goodness, which we need to identify, which we need to respect, which we need to revere ಅನ್ನೋದು. That's a wonderful moral message of the story Oru Manushyan. So hereby that's an end of the class. We are done with the lesson Oru Manushyan. So in the upcoming class, let's see to it and go according to what we have been left with. We'll continue with our classes regularly, right? So before I could wind up with my class, I'm left with last 5 minutes. Please see to it. We'll discuss about the question comprehension questions and answers. So translated from Malayalam by V. Abdullah, titled A Man. So this is a wonderful translation that's taken up from Vaikam Mohammed Bashir. Turn over page number 36. You have comprehension questions, mandatory. So you have to complete it in your notes, answer all the questions, and complete your notes accordingly. Question number 1. How far was the big city from the narrator's hometown? What was the distance that has been mentioned at the beginning of the lesson? It is 1500 kilometers. 1500 kilometers ಅಲ್ಲ, 1500 miles away from the narrator's hometown. You're not supposed to answer it in a sentence. Just write down your answer as 1500 miles. It should not be in a sentence. Whichever questions that demands your answers to be in a word, drop it in a word. Whichever question that demands your answers to be in a phrase, put it in a phrase within single quotation mark. Whichever question that demands your answers to be in a sentence, put it in a sentence, right? So what's an answer for the question number 1? How far was the big city from the narrator's hometown? 1500 miles is an answer. Question number 2. Where did the narrator stay in a big city? The narrator stayed in a, you need to remember 3 words and where did he stay? Small, dingy room in a dirty street. You need to remember small, dingy room in a dirty street. So that's an answer that you have to put it down for question number 2. Coming on to question number 3. For money, people would do anything. We have already looked into this sentence earlier. For money, people would do anything and everything. They did not even hesitate to commit murder. So what's an answer for question 3? Even commit murder. Commit murder is an answer for fill up the blank question number 3. Coming on to, I repeat, question number 3. For money, people would do anything, even commit murder is an answer. Complete the blank with an answer, commit murder. Question number 4. What was the narrator doing to earn a living? What did he do to make his living? He was teaching English for the migrant laborers. Please take down the answer. He taught English for the migrant laborers. I repeat, He taught English for the migrant laborers, specifically to write address in English. He taught English for the migrant laborers. Question number 5. Dash was considered great education there. What's the appropriate answer? Learning English was considered great education there? No. It was not that. They wanted to communicate in English. Communication in ಬೇಕಾಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ is this question number 2? I mean choice number 2, learning to write an address in English? Yep, correct. So learning to write an address in English was considered as great education there. Where? In the valley of mountain. So B is an answer. You have to write down a whole sentence and then complete the blank. Question number 6. What reason did the narrator give for sleeping all day and having food in the evening? So what was the reason why he was sleeping the whole day and he was waking up in 4 p.m.? The reason was just to cut the expense of afternoon's meal and a tea. As he wanted to cut off the afternoon's meal and a tea, he was waking up at 4 p.m. So you have an answer in the text. Please look at the textbook and write the appropriate answer in a sentence, not beyond sentence, just a sentence. So what was the reason that the narrator gave for sleeping all day? Just to cut the expense of afternoon meal and a tea. Question number 7. How much money did the narrator have in his pocket as his life savings? What was his life savings? 14 rupees, 1-4. FOURTEEN. 14 rupees is the life savings. Question number 8. The man who came forward to pay the narrator's bill, who was he? A man with a red turban? Choice B. A person dressed in a suit? Obviously no. C. A money lender? No, he was not a money lender. He was neither a money lender nor he was a person dressed in suit. Then what's an answer for question number 8? A man with a red turban. That's a beautiful description that's given up by narrator. So making use of all these questions, please complete your notes and be ready, be prepared. Notes will be uploaded now or within a couple of minutes or within this day. So please refer to the notes, complete the whole thing, what all the things that has been provided. And coming on to comprehension question 2, describe the people and the place where the incident took place. Where did the incident took place? You have to beautifully describe the conversation that took place in a restaurant where the narrator went to eat his meal. With description, as I said, 4-mark question, second main adrinda, you have to write down your answer for 3/4 of the page or 1 page. Whole page should be written with a beautiful description, answer to the point. Question 2. What was the routine of the narrator in the city? We've already looked into the routine. You have it in your textbook. Please read out the lesson, refer to the answer and elaborate your answer accordingly. He wakes up at 4 p.m. in the evening and baratala. That's what you need to write down a whole paragraph. Question number 3. Give an account of the embarrassing experience of the narrator at the restaurant. It's again the same question. One again baritara. The same thing, the embarrassing experience, the conversation between the restaurant keeper as well as the narrator. He started taking off one after the other. He took off his coat lapel, he took off his shoes, he took off his shirt, and at last, the moment when he was asked to remove his trouser, how he felt embarrassing. So that's what you have to elaborate in detail. And the last question of comprehension 2, a stranger saved the day for the narrator. How? So briefly describe everything from the first, make it condensed. Your answer should not exceed 1 page. Minimum is 3/4 of the page and maximum is 1 page limitation that you have been asked to go with. So please answer comprehension 1 and comprehension 2 questions and answers. Notes will be uploaded. Please refer to it and just complete your notes accordingly. We are done with the time. The time is up. Hope there are no issues with the lesson Oru Manushya. In the next class, either we'll continue with grammar or of textbook. Done? So have a nice day. Thank you so much.